No sushi for you.
Is the sushi that's
Remember Japanese market on 79th Street?
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
that was
Yeah,
probably
he was the sushi man. So he passed away. His daughter Erica opened up down the block, Sushi Erica.
I go past there every day.
Yeah. Here, the way, exactly.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Everybody please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Yes, roll call. Mayor Freemark.
Here.
Vice Mayor Salver.
Here.
Councilman Levy.
Here.
Councilman Sklar.
Here.
Councilman Wolf. Here. We have quorum.
Thank you very much. Who is going to handle the first item on the agenda? It won't be me.
I have to. Can I run downstairs really quick? I left it downstairs.
You had all afternoon.
Yes. No, it's I can only have it's the job. It's by my desk. Sorry. I apologize.
We'll take a short recess.
We need a recording of the Jeopardy music.
Yeah. Apologies.
Do we have Microsoft Words in this computer?
Word? No, you can download it though if you have a Microsoft. This?
This one?
Yeah. This?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a new.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. Well,
Wonderful. That's
same.
It's the same?
Yeah.
looks. Your one.
Yeah. Yeah. Just says it's black. I got silver. So just the color. Yeah, black always makes you look thinner. Yeah.
It's also further away.
Amazing. Microsoft looks.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Very nice. Where'd they get married?
Oh wow, that's out there.
Oh, Rollins College. Gorgeous.
That's out there.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Rollins, right?
Yeah, Rollins.
Very nice. It's on campus, right? Mazel tov.
He's from Orlando. He lives in Orlando. Very nice.
The meeting is called back into session. You want me to stand?
Repeat after me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear and affirm
that you will support the Constitution
that I will support the
and
Constitution
obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United
and of the
States
state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that you will, in all respects,
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances of Bal Harbour Village,
and ordinances of Bal Harbour Village,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of mayor.
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of mayor. Thank you. Would you like me to sign?
And that's your copy.
Thank you very much. So thank you. We're going to come back to requests for additions, withdrawals, and deferrals in a moment. I would just like to make a comment following up on the swearing in, and that is I certainly want to express my appreciation to my fellow council members for all that you do and for appointing me as mayor for the upcoming year. I'm honored to be working with you and with this team and appreciative for your support and look forward to the future together as well. In addition, I would also like to, as we're into a new year, if you will, remind everyone of the general decorum that we will follow for meetings, and it's consistent with that which we've done in the past. And that is that members of the public are generally given 3 minutes in public comment, with the exception of the general public comment at the time new business is discussed. Comments are to be related to the specific matter at hand. Offensive language or conduct is not permitted. All questions to the council and staff are to be addressed through the mayor. Council discussion is generally unlimited in time unless reasonably determined otherwise by the mayor or a majority of the council. Council members and staff are to be recognized by the mayor before speaking. So thank you. But I am very appreciative of the support, and I believe that we have a very strong, unified team up here that knows how to agreeably disagree and work our way towards solutions, conclusions, and recommendations that are viewed through the prism of what's right for the community and what's right for Bal Harbour Village. With that, I'll step back to requests for additions, withdrawals, and deferrals from anybody in the room. I have one, which is I'm going to add a discussion on the Herald report, the Herald article, and the report that appeared this morning concerning sinking buildings along the coastline. So we will add that to the new business discussion at the end. Does anybody else have anything?
Mr. Mayor, not an addition or deletion, but there is a corrected resolution on your desk related to C7C. They had the wrong person's name listed in there. It was appointing a member that is not being appointed and left a member that was being appointed off. So we're recommending you appoint Jose Gomez, who's a current member. David Koplowitz has indicated he would like to cycle off, and so just flip the names. So you don't need to do anything, but just want it for the record so that it's recognized in your consent agenda.
Thank you very much. So that is recognized, and we'll now move into the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion. A second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Ordinances R5A. Mr. Clerk?
It's R5A.
An ordinance of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, amending Chapter 12, Offenses of the Code of Ordinances to create Section 12-11, Public Camping or Sleeping, to establish definitions and regulations, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. This is a second reading ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This item is, as the clerk indicated, second reading. You'll recall that we mentioned in first reading that the state recently passed state statutes that require municipalities to aggressively address the issue of homeless and camping in public spaces. While that's in place, effective January, there are potential damages that we might become liable for if we do not perform the way we're supposed to perform. One of the key things that we need to do is, first of all, is ban the act of camping in the public space. And so this ordinance does that and is consistent with what the state requires. Together with this ordinance, in your memo, you have also information on the standard operating procedures that will be implemented to make sure that we abide by whatever our requirements are. The SOPs are part of the police standard SOPs. They're not here for your approval per se, but they're here for your information. What we are asking you to do is go ahead and pass the ordinance on second reading, which establishes the ban that allows the police to then enforce.
Council discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none. Public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call vote.
It's roll call. Councilman Levy. You have to vote.
You have to vote.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Councilman Wolf.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Salver.
Yes.
Councilman Sklar.
Yes.
Mayor Freemark.
Yes.
The ordinance passes on second reading, 5-0.
Thank you very much. We move into resolutions. Resolution R7A, Metro Express Agreement. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, R7A, a resolution of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, approving an agreement with Metro Express LLC for the provision of concrete, curbing, sidewalk, construction, milling, and resurfacing of asphalt, concrete, and stripping of village streets and the parking lots at pricing specified in the City of Miami Beach invitation to bid, ITB number 2023-422, and D, for an initial term of 3 years with the option for a 1-year extension for 2 years at the annual cost not to exceed budgetary allocations, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, we've engaged in, over the several years now, a multi-year utility infrastructure improvement program, water, sewer, stormwater, pumps, et cetera, ultimately culminating within the repaving, replacing the curb and gutters and repaving the roads. This contractor is the contractor we use for the paving and the curb and gutter. Normally we can bid out. What we've done with a lot of the utility work is to piggyback, which is a public procurement process where you seek out publicly bid contracts elsewhere in the community and essentially negotiate with that contractor for extending the same pricing to our community. We get the economies of scale. Our projects are generally smaller than most of the larger communities, so we get the benefit of the higher or the better pricing for those quantities and still get the service that we desire. It's the same contractor we've used. Their contract expired. Miami Beach bid it. They were the successful bidder. We then piggybacked, or recommending piggyback, and approving of this would allow us to access that contract and execute the work. We anticipate spending nearly $1 million, hopefully, in the next calendar year to get close to complete with our entire utility program. Some of that money is village money, some of that money is assessment money that the gated community is responsible for. But we are getting close to the end of this whole utility program, and so this is one of the final pieces.
Thank you. Council discussion?
Nope.
Public comment? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Is the voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Item R7B, clean space for janitorial services. Mr. Clerk?
R7B, a resolution of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, approving the agreements between Bal Harbour Village and Clean Space, Inc. for the provision of janitorial and cleaning services at village facilities and the Bal Harbour Civic Association Security Access Guard Station in the amount not to exceed the annual budgetary allocation, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, this is, actually, we did a bid process on this. Our contract with the provider of our janitorial services, the group that comes and cleans our offices and our other facilities, we went through a process. The vendor that's being recommended is the current provider. They also are the lowest cost provider, and so we're recommending that you award to them. There are two contracts that would result from this award. Given that the gated community has a facility that this contractor provides service to, and we segregate the funds between the assessments and the general fund, by awarding this, you're awarding two contracts, one for the gated community portion and then one for the village portion.
Thank you. Council discussion? Nope.
Just quick
Councilor
question.
Sklar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It says in the memorandum not to exceed the annual budgetary allocation. What do we have budgeted for this?
John, do you have that number? I think it's in here, though.
It says what the contract amount is. I couldn't find that. Amount.
Yeah.
Well, last year, the amount budgeted was right around $120,000. This stays very close to the original contract. We were lucky. There was not a significant increase on the bid. But that portion of the resolution also provides for emergencies. So if you have a scheduled service and you need additional service, if you're not capturing that within your budget process, it doesn't allow you to take care of the emergencies unless you go back and amend. So they're generally, I believe this one stayed within less than 5%.
In the memo, Councilman, it says that the new proposed clean space identifies the village facility costs increase $6,000. So it's we were budgeted at around $114,000, and the gated community guardhouse decreased by $578, $578. So they came down from 6,000 and change to 5,600. It's in the page 5 of the memo. There's a chart there. That
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't print it with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilman Sklar. Anybody else? Public comment?
Rahab 128 Balfour Drive. The $5,600 is for the janitorial service for how many days a week? Or do they come once a week or once a month?
7 days.
So they come
That's daily service.
daily service.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move it.
We have a motion, a second.
Video.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item R7C, approval of village council meeting dates for 2025. Mr. Clerk?
It's R7C, a resolution of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, setting council meeting dates for the 2025 calendar year, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This is an annual item that you take. As you know, the code requires us to meet on a monthly basis, with the exception of August. Generally speaking, our tradition has been the third Tuesday of the month, beginning at 6:30 p.m. You had a discussion item at your last meeting in November to go over the proposed dates, and we tried to identify to work through various religious holidays and other conflicts that may exist. And while it was a discussion item and you need to vote for it today, the general consensus was that at least the January meeting would be adjusted to be held on January 13th, which is a Monday. So that's different than the standard norm because of people's conflicts in calendar. I know that there was a concern about the February date and an October date, and so you all should have some conversation around that. And I know at least Councilman Sklar, you indicated you wanted to go back and look at your calendar, so hopefully you've got no conflicts, but if you do, there you go. We need to set the calendars with essentially.
Okay, thank you. Council discussion? No? I guess I'll lead the charge then. I have two conflicts that I already know of, that I do know of, and that is April 22nd and October 21st. The April meeting, and I recognize that it has to meet everybody's schedule. The April meeting I could do the following week, and the October meeting I could do the following week as well. But I already know that I will be out of the country, both of those meetings.
Sorry, April 22nd, and which was the other one?
October 21st.
Oh, you really plan ahead.
And I'm punctual. Yes, we plan ahead. It's not to my credit.
Good. The only one that I have a conflict would be the February 18th date. You too? Maybe we could move that up to the week before. How can that be? 18th, the week before,
Yeah.
can't be the 15th. Yeah. Something's wrong with the calendar.
Yeah.
That calendar has a mistake. The day that's the
The 18th, the week before, says the 15th.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, because it's 10, 11, right?
yeah
The
that
numbers are
that whole calendar is all
Yeah.
the
And then-
numbers.
And then,
'Cause the 27th really should be the 25th, 18, and then this would be the 11th.
I'm going to open up a regular calendar.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's what I'm looking at. Much easier.
Now, the one thing that I will tell you about the 25th is that's the week that we also have held for the retreat.
We have the retreat,
So-
the 27th and 28th.
Correct. This year, current 2024, you did it that way, Tuesday and then Thursday, Friday. Alternatively, if you have it a week earlier, that would be the 11th. And, that's for your consideration. If you stick to the Tuesday. Now, I know, Susan, you have second and Friday and fourth.
I can't do the 11th. I can check with Robert, but this is a new date, so I don't know what his availability that is that night.
All right. But others,
No, I would have to actually go the other direction if it works for everybody, the 25th. Does the 25th work for you? Work for everybody
It
else?
does?
25th works for me.
I'm out of the country those before. Does the 25th work for you? That's,
I have the same conflict. It's second and fourth Tuesday, my other city. But I can check and see if
What if
Robert
we
could
do the
cover.
24th?
Monday?
Yeah. Just so we know that Susan can make it.
Can you make
Yeah.
the 24th?
Mondays are fine.
Monday, the 24th works for me. Does it work for everybody else? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Monday, the 24th, so February goes to Monday, the 24th.
Okay. Someone's going to
Going, gone.
Okay. Okay. There.
We got the 13th and the 24th now.
We're making progress.
So March. is-
March 18th is fine,
Yep.
I assume? Yes? April 22nd is when I have the conflict.
So the week before that is Passover
Yep.
and tax day. The 30th. Now, Susan, that's the 5th Tuesday,
Fifth is fine.
and so in that instance, you
We found a glitch in it.
could do that.
That's the 29th.
The 30th.
30th is Wednesday.
Wait, no. See this calendar.
Do not look at that calendar.
This calendar.
I don't know. It was generated by the computer, so we didn't type it in. So yeah, the 29th is a Tuesday. Huh?
I think
I don't know, but we're gonna have to go.
this calendar.
So is this April we're talking about? April 29th. Okay.
Does that work for others?
Give me 1 second. I'm just putting in the February
Far
meeting.
enough away from your tax day.
Oh no, that's not a problem. Let me just see. I just want to make sure because I have like a recurring thing on my calendar. So, okay, April 29th. I don't have an issue.
29th, okay? 29th, okay? Mm-hmm. All
That's a
right.
Tuesday. So the first two that we made changes to are Mondays. This is a Tuesday, so we'll get back on cycle.
All All right, then we have May the 20th.
I didn't hear anybody say otherwise on the 20th, or the June meeting.
Wait.
Yeah, I won't be here the 20th. If we could do it the 19th. My daughter's graduating from college.
You'll
Congrats.
be here on the 19th?
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. I leave on the 20th. And
Oh, okay.
Monday the 19th.
Works for me.
Susan?
Yes.
All right, so May will go to Monday the 19th. George, I didn't hear you say anything, so I assume that's okay. June is the 17th. Any issues there?
I'm not going to be here, but I could do it by Zoom.
Okay, you sure? Okay.
Yeah, we'll be, my little one's going to sleepaway camp, so we're going to be up there.
Oh, boy, that's a big move.
Jealous.
Okay.
Or sleep away.
June 17th is good. July 15th
Yep.
works for me. Still good. August will rest. September, we have the tentative first budget hearing on the 9th.
Yeah. Assuming school and the county and all the other restrictions don't affect it, we would do the first budget hearing on the 9th, and then the second budget hearing would coincide with your 16th regularly scheduled council meeting.
How do those dates look? All right, so September looks to be fine. October,
That was the other conflict.
that's my other conflict.
The whole month has a lot of, conflicts from a holidays perspective. 21st and 28th, I have a conflict on the 28th, if that matters. But
You have a conflict on the 27th?
yeah, it's that week. But I can have a replacement. It's not. So I heard more than one person in October, or did I just hear the mayor?
I think it was
I
just.
just heard you.
Just me?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys make the call on that.
What was the option? But
Anytime the week of the 27th.
fine for me.
George is out, so Ramiro.
George is out that week.
I'm out the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week.
So, do you have a issue with us having a meeting?
Thursday's holiday.
No? No, you can have a meeting without me.
Sure.
Positive.
Friday is.
All right.
All right, so
We just have to make sure Ramiro's calendar is clear.
Yeah.
It'll be clear.
Which day?
So Jeff,
Also, the
you said
28th doesn't
20
work for you either, Susan, right?
Yeah, I had Robert covering the 21st, I think.
what about the
28th. No, the 28th. They're talking about the 28th.
So he's covering the 28th, yeah. So
Can we do the 28th?
Yep.
That's, all right, so we'll do October 28th.
and it's no George. Got it.
Buzzy, which is the one you said you weren't going to be at? June?
June.
Zoom on June?
Zoom June.
All right, November is November 18th. I'm good. Everybody else okay? December is December 9th.
Yeah.
That'll have to be.
You want to do that one because the next week is Hanukkah and then you're into the Christmas week.
I believe I cleared that with Robert,
Yeah.
because that was originally the proposed date.
All right, so we'll do the 9th. Everybody else okay with that? All right.
So Dwight, do you want to call them all out?
So we got January 13th, February 24th. Do you want me to just do the ones that are
Just
changed?
no, call them all.
Oh, okay.
January 13th, February 24th.
Then we go up. February.
March 18th was
Yep.
as scheduled.
Yes, March 18th as scheduled. April 29th, May 19th. And then June is staying the same. That would be the
17.
17th, right?
Yes.
Dwight, what did you just say?
June 17th.
Yes.
July would be the 15th, yep. And then August is off. September would be 9th and the 16th. October is the 28th. November stays on the 18th, and December 9th.
What do you have for April?
April 29th.
Okay. So with the exception of the first 2 days, these are all Tuesdays.
Except there's 2 Mondays, right?
Correct. The first, January and February are Mondays.
Right. And then May is May 19th.
May is Monday too, correct.
I should have been writing them by hand, May 19th.
We'll send you meeting invites
Okay.
to put them into your calendars once they're approved.
Make sure it's a working calendar. Okay. All right.
So as amended, you need a motion?
Yeah.
Make a motion.
I'll move it.
As amended as well.
I'll move as amended.
I'll second as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item R7D, Police Officers Retirement Board.
It's R7D.
Clerk.
R7D, a resolution of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, selecting 2 members from a list of 3 for appointment/reappointment to the village's Police Officers Retirement Board, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Manager.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This item is every 2 years in December, you appoint to the various members to the boards. You've done a lot of those in consent. In this instance, just to remind you all, the Police Pension Board is constructed a little differently than a lot of your other boards. It's 5 members. 2 of the members are elected by the sworn officers who are members of the plan to represent them. And so those 2 members have been elected. They were part of your consent agenda. They are the current incumbents. Then the council approves and appoints 2 members. And then after those 4 members meet in January for their first meeting, their first item of business is to then nominate a 5th member. And that 5th member then comes to the council for ratification. And so you've got the 2 police officers approved. The reason this is on your regular agenda is because you have 3 nominees for 2 slots. You have the 2 current incumbents, Joel Mesnick and Mitch Lieberman, and then you have a 3rd member who we included your information in their information in your package, Todd Dagres. All are capable, all are qualified, would be good additions to the pension board. And so it's up to you as a board to determine how you will select 2 of these 3, and then from that, the 4 will meet and bring you a 5th recommendation next month.
All right. Council discussion. Councilman Squire.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually nominated Todd Dagres. Just give a little, background on him. Is first of all, he's been very active with our police department since becoming a transplant down here. I know he donated some gym light boxer equipment to them. He's also been very involved, and I think he became a member of the Police Captains Board, Chief, isn't that correct? The Police Chiefs Association. He was very active also in his role back in Boston, and he wanted to really entrench himself into the community. Besides all his other things, if you could read through his resume, get tickets to the Marlins game. He just bought part of the Marlins. So he's a personal.
There's that.
He happens to be a personal friend, and that's the reason I nominated him, because he is unbelievably qualified for this position. And I just wanted to put his hat into the ring and get your guys' consideration on it.
I think it's great when we have folks from the community that are willing to get involved and become active. I think that's terrific. Others on the council?
I guess my only comment would be then how do we pick from the 3 very qualified persons? I mean, George, there's no way we can just make him the 3rd, and kind of, since we have to ratify it anyway, we can't just do a strong suggestion.
I think you're going to do a strong suggestion. Is what you'd have to do. I think Susan will tell you that you need to allow that process to work out.
You have to allow that process. Yeah.
You can send that strong suggestion, but that's still a process, and it's out of your hands in that regard.
So along those lines, I was thinking very similarly in terms of approach and would suggest that we reappoint the two that are currently on, because they are currently on, but strongly urge, how does he pronounce his name, Dusty?
Dagris.
Dagris, but strongly urge the other four to select Mr. Dagris, and I think we'll have an outstanding police pension retirement board. That would be my recommendation to the council.
Okay with that.
His resume is fantastic.
Sorry?
His resume is fantastic.
Yeah, he's no question. They all can do the work. Yeah.
So, Councilman Wolf, do you want to say something?
No, that's fine.
So I'll make the motion and jump in as I'm going through this, that we reappoint Mr. Lieberman and Mr. Mesnick, that we encourage the four members then of the board to appoint Mr. Dagris as the fifth member of the board. That would be the context of my motion.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, how do we make that encouragement?
We just did.
Again, but again, the four people are.
I will, yeah, so I can certainly relay it and encourage them to come and watch it if they need to watch it. But I can speak to the four that will now be appointed and say this is the strong desire of the council. And, you know.
And can we have it, like, who sets their agendas and all that?
The pension administrator, Rick would do that. And so it's the first item of business. That's the first thing they do in the January meeting is, or whenever they first meet, is to select the fifth.
The agenda actually say the name that we're suggesting, like appointment?
Yeah, actually what I'll do, here's what I could do as well, is a good suggestion, is take the minutes, when Dwight takes the minutes to this meeting, and have him put that in the minutes, his name and the minutes of this strong urging, so that they can see that it's official.
Yeah, I mean, or just like the agenda item say, like consideration of appointment of.
Council recommendation of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You'll have to see
It
from a
really
legal.
should just be calendared, because it's so precise in statute that it's their choice. It should be calendared as the choice of the fifth member with an agenda memo that explains that you've made this recommendation. That's what I would recommend.
Are you okay with that?
That's the procedure. That's the procedure.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item R7E, performance bonuses for general employees and village manager. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, R70, a resolution of the Village Council of Bal Harbour Village, Florida, authorizing disbursement of village general employee and village manager performance bonuses, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This, again, is your annual item at the end in December where our non-sworn general employees work through the year and are evaluated in October of each year, and bonuses are based on those performance evaluations. We still bring it to you for ratification, if you will. I and the department heads handle all of the employees that are general employees, and then you as a council get to determine my performance evaluation and bonus. So there's a fill in the blank as it relates to, in the resolution as it relates to the village manager, and then the rest is pro forma like you've done in years past.
All right, so I'll kick it off, and then council, please jump in as well. We held a workshop prior to this meeting to discuss this topic, as we do every year. And I can tell you that the unanimity of the council as it regards the performance of, yes, the manager, but of the team that truly makes it happen as well, is something that we are deeply appreciative of, and the community is deeply appreciative of that as well. We happen to think that we have a top-rate team in place, led by a top-rate manager that oversees this team. And in that context and recognizing that we both need and want to be fiduciarily responsible regarding that, yet be rewarding of performance, what we are going to do for the manager, which is the one that's within the purview of the council, is we're going to maintain the contract that was put in place 2 or 3 years ago now at this point in time, which would keep the salary the same at $325,000. We will match last year's bonus at $70,000, and we will implement a 457 deferred comp plan that the village will contribute for the manager $15,000 to that. And that will be effective whenever it's effective, and it will be part of the program moving forward as well. So to repeat, the salary continues, the bonus the same as last year, the 457, which is new, will be implemented at $15,000. And once again, the uniform and unanimous discussion that took place on the part of the council is to be very, very pleased with the manager's performance, and that of the team. And with that, I'll open it up to others on the council. No? Everybody's in agreement, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a very thorough conversation, and I want to thank my colleagues and everybody for, their candor and for allowing us to really have a thorough discussion, and I think we really landed on the right place. And I want to thank George for his service and the staff that makes this village run beautifully, and we are really a paradise in kind of a crazy South Florida environment. So thank you so much for all that you do to make this the best place to live in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add as well. Again, I think it bears repeating. Again, the only way the city operates so well is with our manager and all of our employees and our police staff and everything. Again, you go to, I'm sure everybody's heard stories in other local areas, not to be named. But again, whenever somebody talks to me and says, "Oh my God, you must have such a challenge to be on your council," I'm like, no, our council is great, and it's a great place to be and a great city to be in. So it's a tribute to everybody here, manager and the entire team. So we appreciate everybody's efforts.
And just if I could just add one comment to just exercise some personal privilege. The council knows that I attended the mayor's conference on combating anti-Semitism that is run by Combat Anti-Semitism. And a year ago, the conference was in Fort Lauderdale, and there were 50 mayors in the room. This year, the conference was held in Los Angeles, and there were 200 mayors in the room from the United States, from Canada, from Israel. And to your point, Councilman Wolf, what you hear from other communities in terms of, we're all dealing with issues, but what you hear from the other communities as it regards safety and as it regards security and as it regards hate crimes that they're seeing is just mind-numbing, and it's mind-boggling. And we are blessed to live where we are and to have the support of the community and the team that is providing for that safety and security and everything for us. And when you're sitting in a room for 3 days and you're listening to these stories and you're listening to what people are saying, it just helps you appreciate that all the more. And that does not come easily. It comes with hard work. We know that, and we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Great. If I may, I want to express my appreciation, and on behalf of the employees as well. A lot of what you say, you all are part of that as well. It takes both an administration and an enlightened council to really keep all of the momentum that we have going and addressing the challenges when they come. And so the support you give us and the confidence you have in us, and I say that us, not just me, but the whole team, is what allows us to do the work that we do, and we appreciate how satisfied you are. And, we are very appreciative of the generosity as well. Certainly I am.
So thank you. And thank everybody, because we did have a good, robust, thoughtful discussion. So thank you all for that.
Thank to the team as well. Thank you, guys.
Very definitely. All right, new business and council discussion, item R9A.
Oh, you had to vote.
Public comment.
You see? It's always something. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in. See, I'm really excited to move this forward. All right. Is there public comment? I apologize. Is there public comment? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, the motion carries. All right, my apologies for that. New business and council discussion, Mr. Clerk?
It would be George.
Yep. So
Well, R9A is a request that, Mayor, you made, the discussion regarding the village position on water.
Thank you. There's clearly been much in the press as it regards, and this is not meant to be, nor designed to be, nor intended to be political. This is designed to be, do we want to take a position? We purchase our water from Miami-Dade County to provide it to the residents of the village. And the question is, do we want to either send a letter, send a note, or not to the county and the county offices to take a position on whether or not, in our view, fluoridation of the water should continue or not continue. And I will clearly respect the opinion of the council on this and the viewpoint of the council on this. I, for one, believe we should be following the science, and the science would indicate that fluoridation should continue. Our residents are directly impacted by this. That's why I'm bringing this to the council for a discussion. And my recommendation would be, and I have no idea whether it has any impact or not, but I believe in representing Bal Harbour Village, it's appropriate to send a note or a letter, whatever the appropriate means would be, in support of continuing fluoridation. Council discussion? Any?
Yeah, I'm not.
Councilman Wolf?
So I don't think I'm not sure that the facts are clear on the subject. I think there's differing facts. There's definitely many facts that say fluoride is definitely a detriment as well. I guess there's, again, different views, but there's a whole big movement now, even fluoride, even dentists, to remove fluoride because it's not good in getting into the body through the gums and everything else, and obviously through drinking water is not great. So, actually, I need to do a little bit more research on it before I would say give a recommendation either way.
Fair enough. Anybody else?
I was taking the exact same viewpoint. For every article I read that's for it, I literally read an article that's against it. So I don't know what the right answer is. If we are going to take, I would love to hear, from some experts as opposed to just give my opinion on something like this, because I'm not a scientist and I'm not a chemist. So it would be hard for me to give a yay or a nay on this at this juncture.
Okay. Anybody else?
I would just say that I don't have a strong opinion either way, and I would want to have a strong opinion for us to send that message. So I guess I would be in favor of just maintaining neutrality on the subject and not sending any sort of resolution or letter to the county.
Also will say that I spent quite some time in Switzerland where I lived for many years. And and Switzerland doesn't add it to the water, doesn't mean that they're better than us, or no more than us, just that's the way to do it. Europe doesn't do it either. Israel has a two-way path on that. Not an expert by any means. I would like to, since number one, ask my constituents what do they think, and number two, what I do from other people more intelligent, more knowledgeable than me, for make the decision.
So it sounds as if the consensus is we sit on the sidelines at this point. I didn't mean it the way it just sounded, but that I would not invest the dollars to do this. We can all do our own research, and if there's a sense down the road that people's have a viewpoint one way or another, we can revisit it. But right now, not take any action. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Thank you. Item R9B.
Councilman Levine. That's me. One of the things that I noticed with regard, particularly with District 4, is that many of the people who live on the west side of Collins are not represented here. They hardly ever come to the meeting. I spoke to Sylvia on the meeting that she did with certain condominiums. It is notable that they don't attend. When I spoke to some people in different buildings, and I went to different buildings to ask why they don't come, there were randomly two people. Many of the people were very old, so it's not easy for them to travel here, or they don't have the stamina to do it. And then I thought, okay, so there must be a better way for us to communicate to them what we do. They still live here, they stay in, they're part of our community. And I think it would be valuable for us to be able to pass on a message of what we discuss here. Like I sat down as a new council member, I sat down to look at the videos, from our recordings. They're very long. You can afford it. So you have to sit down there and watch for like 3 hours if you really want to watch something. So what I suggest is that we have all this way of communicating with a resident, and I'm happy to take the pilot on this. I would suggest that we engage with the community with the help of social media. Maybe like a 1 minute video on this is what we discussed, this is what we talk about, this is what we're going to discuss in the next meeting. Not everybody have the time to read it, but I think a 1 minute video will do. A lot, maybe not, but I think it's a good try. And I also mentioned to Sylvia and to Ramiro that and to George that I would like to engage with the community and have a get together with them, where they'll be able to ask some questions. Susan will have to review what we can discuss and not discuss. But I think that it would be a great idea, once again, to have some sort of direct communication with the resident aside from our great meeting that we have once a month.
Councilman Sklar? Were you finished,
Yeah.
Councilman Sklar?
I think it's a great idea, and I tried this, in all honesty. We have a building of 450 units. I think Penny's the only one that ever shows up on a consistent basis. We have 3,700 residents. I could see 2 here at our meeting. I don't think it's the engagement. How do we get them from being apathetic? I think that's really what it comes down to. I reached out with Sylvia's help to every single building manager and said, hey, I know your residents don't come to our meetings. I know, that they have questions. I'm offering up my time to come to your board meetings. Give me 5-10 minutes to, for a Q&A, and I'll be able to just answer their questions right there. Not one building responded. Not one. So as much as we're making the effort, how do we stop? I think the bigger overarching question is, it's not that the elderly can't come here. How do we stop the apathy of the people in our community for them to get more engaged? And if we could figure that out, I think our messaging will get out there. Because I've tried, I've reached out, I've done a lot of the things that you're discussing over the past couple of years, actually, just recently, and I've gotten 0 response. So if we could figure out a way, I'm in your corner to try and make it happen.
Vice Mayor Salva?
Thank you for bringing that up. One thing that I did get out of your comments, which is something that we can implement, because I know that the guy that does our newsletters does Bay Harbor, and I think Bay Harbor has a section on like the action that was taken at recent council meetings, like approved contract with this and that. So we can, I mean, we only put out the newsletter quarterly, so either we would do like just like an email that, like an after council meeting email that says what was done at our last meeting. I don't know if we necessarily want the video because that will require someone to produce a video, whereas, you know, if we do it more in like an email and informative fashion, I think it'll be easier on the staff to get out. But I think that's something we can implement. I don't know how it will fit in with the newsletter because it'll be like very stale information if it's quarterly and, you know, you have 3 months. But I guess it could be in our. We're really good about the emails, and I know that people in in my building at least get the emails. They all the feedback that I've gotten is positive. It's not like they don't know what we're meeting. They know we're meeting, and I think they think we're doing a good job, and that's why they don't come. I'd like to think that.
I will tell you on the newsletter piece,
Yeah.
what we're finding is that it really is a stale piece at this point.
Yeah.
We actually, during this last cycle, we put if you notice on the back, we had a QR code, and we're surveying the users because a lot of the mailed piece actually comes back return to sender. And we're asking, is this still a viable way to communicate with you? And we're trying to get that survey to see. And then from a meeting perspective, it's every 3 months or so. And so a lot of it's like a compilation of 3 months worth of meetings. Some of it is immediately relevant and some of it is long lost. I suppose we could create a summary that would go out with our Friday email that we do on a regular basis. I would want to make sure that it's kind of, we don't editorialize or whatever, maybe link it to the meeting and say these are the kinds of things that were discussed and voted on. I suppose that could be done on the Friday or within a reasonable time from our last meeting and try something like that. But producing video starts to get a little bit more complicated.
We know that when there is an issue, we know the community shows up. And when there's something that the community needs to rally behind or wants to rally behind, we know the community shows up. Before I make a suggestion, did you want to?
Yeah, no, I was just going to add, I think, it's a great idea, good conversation. I also find just in my district in the village, most people have issues all the time to tell me about. I said, come to a council meeting, come have a conversation. I'm one person, there's 5 councilmen, you want to address the issue, come. See anybody? No. And so I wish somehow, I'm like, again, somebody tells me something almost every time I see it, come to a council meeting. Oh, I can't make it to a council meeting. Okay, well, I don't know, if it's important enough to you, you'll come to a meeting, you'll have a conversation. So if there's some way that we think will entice them, I don't know, maybe we serve food or something. But, I'm open to suggestions as well.
Yeah,
Councilman Clark?
to your point, I'm sure all of us, as elected officials, people stop us, their opinion, this and that. I say the same thing. You have, come let everyone else know.
Right.
And
I mean, I'd love to have more people here.
they just, for some reason, don't. They have no problem, pinning me on a Saturday afternoon and keeping me for 30-minute giving. That's what I signed up for. So I don't mind that, but I would love for the rest of the room to be able to hear that. And that's what I would say. Hey, come tell everybody. And for some reason, they just don't show up.
Would it? Sorry, can I say one more suggestion?
Please, Vice Mayor.
Maybe, and I'm just throwing this just popped into my head, so I know that sometimes you're not supposed to just spit out a thought like that hasn't been thought of. And
No, keep going.
okay, what if we were to do a more informal, meeting, I don't know, once a quarter or twice a year, where it's there's nothing on the agenda. All of us are there. Maybe it's in the sea view or a neutral location, somewhere more central, easy to get to, maybe at a more convenient time if this time doesn't work. And it's there's nothing on the agenda. You got the 5 of us, yeah. Well, it's really like a town hall meeting, which is what this is, but yes.
Do
Hear from the public.
Yeah. And it could be almost like, and we can parlay, like there could be food. It could be more of like a social type thing, and like we'll listen to you for a half hour, and then there's food and drink after. I don't know.
Tidbits with the council.
It's kind of like taking a little bit of.
So okay. Let me try making a recommendation, okay? I think that there's a lot of merit to that. It's something that at the retreats and at other places we do talk about, the fact that there is a lack of attendance or a lack of participation for whatever the reasons may be. I think that happens generally for a lot of different functional types of events and things. But let me suggest that Councilman Levy, since you brought this up, and I think it's an important topic, work with appropriate folks on the staff to bring back some recommendations and think outside of the box in terms of that, whether it's a town hall, a social setting, or what have you, the opportunity to engage with folks, because that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, to represent the community, represent the constituency. I don't think that we're going to build the building sitting here right now in doing that, but perhaps I could ask you, impose on you to work with appropriate team to do that.
That could become a topic of your retreat that's coming up soon, so we can try to bring those ideas and try to.
And I have
made
that
them
in front of mind because the retreat's 2 months away.
Right. So that, I'm sure we can come up with something in that time period.
Councilman Wolf?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, maybe we could, we don't have to wait 2 months for the retreat to do something. So if you're working with the team, you come up with something for next meeting, maybe we can vote on it next meeting.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, but it's funny because when we do like coffee with a cop, or things like that, or wrap some presents, people come out for those things.
People show up.
But things that are really affecting, their daily lives or the decisions made here, they don't. So there's got to be a way to make it happen. It really does.
Not yet. Okay. All right. We have another new business item, which is today's article in the sinking buildings. That was the front page of the Miami Herald. It's a really interesting read in reading the article. I think that there is a lot that needs to be researched, a lot that needs to be learned, the study that needs to be, I think, better understood. But I did, in a discussion with the manager earlier today, ask him to have the building official available to just update us on what is taking place within the community as part of our role to be clearly focusing on the safety and security of our residents and of folks that are living here. So if everybody is open to this, I'd ask Ellie to come up to just provide an update for us.
So Mayor, as Ellie comes up, he and I did have some conversation. There's some interesting information. Of course, every report that gets out there, sometimes the media runs with it. I watched a report that, in fact, the author of the study was saying that this is notable, but not reason for alarm per se. So I did have a conversation with our building official, and we kind of brainstormed what would be useful information for you all to have. And so I think he and I can kind of tag team, because in fact there are some things that are ongoing. And you'll recall immediately after the tragedy in the Surfside Champlain Towers, we went out and really scoured all of our multifamily buildings to see about the certification and recertification process. Ellie has continued that and remains in constant dialogue with each of the buildings, especially those that are still in the process, and many of them are. But he does have a record from a certified engineer, structural engineer, for each of the buildings that allow the buildings and indicate that the buildings are safe for continued habitation and use. which is the threshold he has. If an engineer tells him it's unsafe, then the building would be condemned and the residents would need to be moved. So he's ongoing with that. You all had a building officials meeting in Miami-Dade County, so why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Let me just try to set some context, and then Ellie, you will go. So excuse me for this. I understand what the author of the study has said, and I understand, I think, what was stated within the article. Nonetheless, it was still the headline of page 1.
Yes.
So perception becomes reality. And I think that it is important for us to know and understand, and now is a really good time to do this, what is transpiring within the community, as well as for members of the community to know and understand that as well. And we also know, quite frankly, that there is ongoing litigation, or litigation has been launched as it regards the St. Regis, with terminology that's in there that can be perceived through different lights. So with that, Ellie, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. Eli Palacio, the building official for the village. So coincidentally, yesterday we had a building officials meeting on a monthly basis. We all get together in the county, and we have a meeting of different topics, and this was brought up as a discussion item. And the structural engineer from Miami-Dade County in co-compliance, and she even suggested or is evaluating the method and the way that they measured these buildings. Because unfortunately, is the equipment calibrated? What's the method that they measured it, and at what position did they measure it when they measured it previously, and where did they measure it in the last time that they measured? And if you read the report, they basically measured at the roof level. At the roof level is basically different elevations, like on the corners of by where the parapet, where the wall is on the roof, is higher than where the drains are in the middle of the roof. So you could have anywhere from 12 to even 20 inches in difference between the slope of the roof, depending on the width of the building. The minimum slope of those buildings is 1/4 of an inch per foot on a flat roof surface. So it's 1/4 of an inch every foot that it has on each direction. So basically, it's how they calibrated the equipment to measure, and where did they measure at both occasions or several occasions that they measured on. So that's what they're trying to achieve through the county, to reach out to the university to identify how and the method that they did that. But beyond that, our 2 buildings that they're questioning on or mentioning on the report, when you do the math and convert it from centimeters to inches, is basically one has 1 inch and 15/16 of a settlement, and then the other building has 4.5 centimeters, that is equals to 1 3/4 of an inch. And then
The two buildings that were identified were the Ritz and Oceana. In his study, those are the 2 in Bal Harbour that were identified.
Yeah, and then I went this morning and did a research of other structures that we're doing here. For an example, one house is under construction right now inside the village. The soil engineer, the geotechnical engineer, in his report, he even documented that. And then basically, I've read this 20-some years in all these reports. It says that the estimated magnitude of these settlements is less than 1.5 inches to 1 inch of settlement on a house. And I also picked up on the one for the new building that is being built here or being prepared to be built here in the village in front of Collins, next to these buildings.
The Rivage.
The Rivage. And the soil engineer also is stating the piles are from 80 to 90 feet in depth inside and underneath the soil, and they estimate 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches of settlement. That's the way the buildings are designed. All these buildings have that equation in the construction method. And then if we keep on reading, there's a paragraph that says the settlements of these structures are expected to be relatively uniform. As their height increases in the tower, they should become stiffer and reduce the potential for differential settlements. But then these buildings, before they're turned over to the owners, basically there's where the most settlement is at. The first year in construction, after the building is being built and finished, is at the moment that the building gets the most settlement. Then eventually, within years, there's some structural settlement, but the potentials of those settlements are basically are minimal. They're not structural in nature that they could see or they have noticed on all these buildings. And then if you read the report, the maximum amount of settlement is 8 centimeters. So 8 centimeters converted into inches is 3 inches. On a building that basically, in the other buildings
feet or
are
something like
30,
that.
40, 50 stories high. And ours, the maximum amount is 275 feet. And then to be able to protect us in a more manner, and this year we even had an ordinance that basically no building could be built with an underground garage to be able to have it at grade. That Rivage building is basically the last building that's going to be built with an underground garage. And the method that they're doing it, if you guys could see what they're doing, they're basically going in and mixing the soil with a slurry mix. That basically the concern that the building, while one building is being built, the others, there's a void in the building, it's being protected with that methodology that they're doing. So they have vibration monitors, they have settlement, they have done evaluations on the 2 buildings next door. That's what even the report recommends, that's what should be done. And we've covered all those bases in our parameter of the buildings that are being built here, and we reinforced it with the ordinance that we passed last year, also making all those parameters basically a requirement to build here in our village.
Any questions of Ellie, Vice Mayor?
I don't know if it's for Ellie or for you, because I did see the headline, but I didn't have a chance to really look at it in depth. So my question is, did they only look at new construction? Or did they look at all the buildings and only, and did these buildings know that they were being measured? If you're telling me that they were measuring from
No,
this.
they evaluated buildings from Sunny Isles all the way.
Yeah, I think they looked at all the buildings. It was like a university researcher that did this. This was not engaged by any private entity, I guess. And my understanding is he reviewed all of the buildings along the coast, identified the ones that he felt were numbers higher than what he was anticipating. Mm-hmm. He or she, whoever the article author was. And so they identified a number of buildings, 2 of which are in Bal Harbour. A number of them are in Sunny Isles and some others in Miami Beach, apparently.
So then I guess what you're saying is that there's normal settling that happens. So it would, your theory, or whoever, I guess the building officials that got together and, or the geologists, whoever wrote that in the reports, I guess would back up the fact that because all these buildings were new construction, I believe.
At some point. What really they could determine if these buildings are actually settling or not is getting an elevation certificate and comparing when the building was built, 10 years later, 20 years later, and evaluate it. I'm trying to get the 2 buildings that we have in question. For one of them, I have a new elevation certificate recently. That was no more than 2 months ago, because they're doing alterations in the rear of the property, and we required an elevation certificate. But I'm trying to achieve and get my hands on the original elevation certificate when the building was built in 2007, 2008, and to be able to compare. And basically all these buildings and any structure in this environment that we are in the coast, they'll have settlement. It's designed for that.
Councilman Sklar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So when the article broke, I actually got some phone calls, and I spoke to I spoke to a structural engineer. And from what I'm understanding, and hopefully you could also clarify, unless you have a true baseline to start from, it's tough to make these things. And what he was saying, they never said how they achieved a baseline. So, like anything else, it's a very, very, it's a great clickbait, headline, and everyone did click on it. So the Miami Herald did their job. And
There it was, right?
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, to that point, what I was told is if there's no baseline, you can't have a comparable because you have nothing to compare it to.
And that's why Ellie was saying the
Yeah.
elevation certificate can be that.
Right, so.
Then you got to measure it against another, you got to use the same methodologies. You
Exactly.
can't measure it one way and then.
Exactly. So from my understanding that was never done, and to the same point, they said that everything settles. It doesn't matter if it's built in the mountains, on the shoreline, in the middle of the country, that they're settling in every single building that happens.
So it sounds to me, and in listening to you, Ellie, as well, that there is more research or more discussion that needs to take place as it regards the study itself.
Yes.
With other building officials and other experts from the county. So my ask would be that we get periodic updates as you have them so that we're not sort of flying blind at this point in time and being reactive to an article that was in the paper, which really only caught my attention because we're a coastal community and here we are. So I would ask for that to be provided, George, whenever it's appropriate.
The county did, when we had the meeting yesterday, they did mention that when they have, if the equipment is calibrated, where was it measured, and did they measure it in the same location? And at that point, we even spoke about the elevation certificate. And back 10, 15 years ago, the elevations were measured with a transium and from a benchmark. Nowadays, with today's technology, is with a GPS system. Basically, so I need to be able to identify the elevation certificates that we're looking for, if they started from the same benchmark, because if they started from a different benchmark, let's say one in 96th Street in Collins and the other one did the benchmark that they used was in Sunny Isles, and they brought it back here to be able to identify this building. If the equipment, all surveying equipment have a calibration issue of percent. So basically, with today's technology, they do it with a GPS. So they got to verify if they go back to the benchmark, verify that the elevation of the benchmark calibrates with that GPS equipment, and then go back into that property to be able to verify that. So it's a little bit complex, but it's doable.
Apparently, the author of the study did it through LiDAR, which is even satellite-type technology.
It's also
I think we've got that, but I think it's also appropriate, given both where we are and what we have, as well as what we're dealing with the shops as well, that we get periodic reports on this subject. So, George, if you could make sure that we do. All right, Ellie, thank you very much. All right, public comment?
Rahab 128 Balfour Drive. I tell you why nobody comes. This board, none of you were here before you got elected. I've been coming here for 30 years. I didn't see any of the faces before who used to come in here. And after you leave, you don't come back here. Majority of the stuff that come in, they don't come. The reason is, as more and more time goes by, people feel disconnected. They feel stifled. They can't speak. They feel whatever they have to say is not being counted. That's why they're disconnected. That's why there is an apathy. You could tell them to come, they say, what for? You guys make decisions whenever you want. You don't listen to the public. Even these are important issues. They should be open up to public, see what's the public 2 cents worth, but you never open it up. You think because it's the board, you are the all-kind, king of the things, and we don't want to hear your voice. That's why people don't come. It used to be a lot of people come 30 years ago. This room was packed. But nobody comes anymore. Free speech and dissent is the most important in a constitution you just swore to defend. But you don't do it. You stifle speech, you tell them what you could say or what not say, or the limit amount to say, so people feel disconnected. Now, as far as about these studies also too, this is Sarah, the study didn't say, the important part of this study is the settlement equal on both sides? Because building settles. The question that this report brought up was, is one side settling to the other side, which makes the building tilt? And they use satellite to determine that because of geological or because of the erosions and so forth that we have on the beach, and it's effective, does the settlement goes on equally or it will tilt? And that's what they have to look, not that the building will settle. All building has settlements, all of them. But important is to get the people connected. Number one, put them in the videos, put other things. Talk to people, invite them in, but they don't come. I come here because I'm Don Quixote. I know my things don't count, but I like to hit that windmill. That's the reason I come. The majority of people are tired of it. When they come, they don't get the things, they don't get to feel that they count, whatever we make, and generally, this is the thing that I used to say. The most important thing is government is instituted by the consent of the governed. That's the most important in the Constitution. Read what Benjamin Franklin added to it, the consent of the governed. And I feel all the time that our consent is never heard on this council, ever. And then if they feel that, they don't come. This council itself, before you guys got elected, you wouldn't come to normal meetings. I don't see most of you. They were here because you had too busy or wasn't involved you or whatever. But that's the reason. You have to get more people involved and let them speak. Get the community involved. Like these things you're talking between yourselves, maybe other people have the 2 cents worth. They want to say something, but they don't get to. They only get 3 minutes in other businesses to talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Penny?
The meeting's for 12 years since I moved.
Penny Sepler, 10275 Collins. I think, I hear what you're saying. I think this is people. I mean, we have condo meetings. The same 10 people come. And I agree that in some ways it is because maybe they don't feel like that there is a place for their comments. I think people do think that way. I do. But, we've had such wonderful events at the park. I mean, really fun things. And really, you guys should come a little bit more too. I mean, it just looks, it's the right thing to do, and maybe you have something like that and we do it at the park. We do like conversation with the council. I mean, something. We have a little pastries and little coffee and whatever, but where you just kind of let them get to know you. I think that's maybe possible. Even with the fun events that Sylvia plans, and we're getting more and more people, but it takes time. It just takes time. But I think that maybe if we held it we held some kind of because you know what? The coffee with the police, the ice cream with the police, people come. They really do, and they have a good time. So maybe it just has to be a little bit more informal, where you're in jeans, where you're dressed like I mean, I like the fact that I love the way you look. I love the way you look on the on the dais. But in a meeting where it's just a friendly, more like what you're saying, And anyway, I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy New Year, a very happy holiday season.
You as well. Anybody else? Yes.
Dave Sanchez. Dave Sanchez, 1094th Street, Bay Harbor Islands. One thing I would suggest if we actually want people to come into council meetings is, well, here's the thing. One of the best ways is to just annoy them. Front page of everything, a pin post on social media, having actually these meetings, announcements, and the agendas posted on social media. I know we could link it on the description page, but it's better just to have it as a sliding picture. You gotta annoy them with, we have the agenda uploaded, we have this. we have a meeting coming on this day. This will actually help. It's difficult to access the website, and you have to go through an already set up web page, and then go to a separate web page to look at the videos and the transcripts. For many people, that's already stopped. If you upload the meetings on YouTube, which is an easy manner, everybody uses YouTube. 90% of the world uses YouTube. You go and upload those meetings there. You go and upload those agendas there. It's much easier because everyone knows that's the video platform on the internet. That's one of the best ways. Just constantly tell them there is a meeting, there's a meeting, there's a meeting, because they could say, you council members, of course, I suppose you guys talk to members of Bal Harbour. I'm not saying you don't, but I'm not really sure. I mean, maybe you got emails. I got a public records request and just tell you how many there are. Maybe you talk personally more over than through emails or phone number or through phone. But this other manner is also important, just because you tell them, come to the meetings, that's something they're going to forget in about an hour. So constantly reminding them seeing every time their post that there is a meeting upcoming. They might just decide to put that on their agenda and save some space on their agenda to come to a meeting. Another manner that I don't know exactly how the rules work in council is that one might come to a meeting, they might wait 2 hours for their last item that they want to discuss about, and then they leave. And many people don't really have that much time. So I think it's better to have a form online or some form that one can write and sign, and they could give out their comment. And although they're not going to be present, I'm sure they're going to look back at the footage to see what reply they got into. That's another thing that I would suggest. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Manager report? Clerk report?
It's in your package.
Attorney report?
In your package.
Want to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season and a happy and healthy new year. We'll see you next year. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Jeff, are you going?
Thanks, man.
Misha, thank you.
And I've been coming to meetings when they were running till 2 in the morning. Yeah. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, no, that's fine. The only thing, the worst thing I ever did skiing was actually snowboarding. It was broken ribs. That was my fault. I had a flask in my and the flask moved and I fell. First down was
He's interested in the air. He has a lot of
He was on the board for Yeah, that's specific. Yeah. So he's interested. Dile que me mande su resume and back an email saying I'm interested. Would he be good? I think it's better to have somebody.